So everybody's got a view on this Liam Neeson situation, and what I wanted to do is to give you mine here. Because I find the way that this is being handled a little bit odd, actually. Not entirely unexpected, but a little bit unexpected, actually. It's not how I would have expected it to have panned out. I hadn't realised that the society was quite as condemnatory and judgmental as it is. I would have expected a little bit more. And that chimes in with something that I just want to set the scene right from the word go, which is an observation that I've had the past few years. Quite a depressing observation, which is that I don't think that as a species we're capable of properly changing. We can change the subject, the focus, the target of our vitriol and our hatred, but I don't think we can extirpate from ourselves the desire to have it. I think that it's almost like an itch that we have to scratch. There has to be a bogeyman, there has to be somebody, a group, a representative in some way that we can dump upon, that we can tear to pieces, that we can drag down, that we can bring our pitchforks out to play, whose barn we can burn down. And of course, traditionally, we've enacted that through various forms of bigotry within our societies, and over the past few decades and couple of hundred years, racism has played a big part with regard to that. Sexism has played a big part. Sexuality and sexual orientation has played a part. Throughout history, it's taken on 100 different forms, but it's always been there. And happily, as a society, maybe we're drawing a line under some of those things, those categories. But all that it seems to be doing is driving people into finding another justification. The lust still has to be sated, ladies and gentlemen. And even within the most sort of woke of individuals, the sort of properly left-wing, wonderful, we shouldn't be victimising anybody. If only everybody acted right, we could move away from all of this. And I'm afraid I think that it's bollocks. That desire is still there, that there always has to be somebody that we can hold in contempt, that we can turn into some kind of a pariah. And I really found it a little bit strange, actually a little bit surprising that Liam Neeson is being turned into quite the pariah here, not least because there is such a ready supply of pariahs at the moment, and that usually these pariahs spontaneously appear to us because people get found out for having done something bigoted and intolerant. And the Liam Neeson situation seems to be somewhat different, in that here is somebody who nobody's caught him out doing something. He has gone on record of saying, this is something that I did decades ago that I'm not proud of, that I'm ashamed of, and that is why I want to talk about it, because I did this thing. It was an horrific thing that I did, and that's why I want to discuss it, because I don't think this is an example of all the things that is wrong. And he says he learnt a lesson from it. I'm sure he's learnt another lesson now, which is not to admit to ever having fucked up or done something wrong, because people just don't want to fucking know about that part of it. What people want is a reason to tear you down, a reason to end your career, a reason to tie you to the stake and set fire to you and watch you burn. People don't want to hear that this is something that happened a long time in the past and you're deeply ashamed about it. Bollocks with that. You think you can get away from something just by apologising and saying that you hate the fact that that was something that you did in the past. I'm sorry, pal. It just doesn't work like that anymore. People have these lusts that need to be satisfied, and you're not helping them sate those lusts when you make statements such as that. The interesting thing for me is the hypocrisy of some of the criticism. And the reason that I say that is because the wonderful way in people dress up their criticisms here is to talk about these unconscious biases, these unconscious prejudices that we have, and they're citing it in terms of racism, Liam Neeson's racism, and in some ways as if, well, this is just this is the tip of the iceberg, folks. The whole of society has these prejudices and bigotries, views about black people, and the generalizations that Liam Neeson was making are typical of society as a whole. Talk about making a generalization to criticize a generalization. But the glaring omission for me was that every single tweet that I've read, every single article that I've seen mentions the racism, and not a single one of them mentions the sexism. And yet it is identical to the nth degree. There was not one criteria of bigotry behind Liam Neeson's clouded judgment. He didn't go looking for a black person because a black person had committed a crime. He went looking for a black man because it was a black man who had committed the crime. So where's all the talk about the stereotypes and the prejudices and the preconceptions of men as being violent, as being the problem, of the justification that if a man does something wrong, then it's okay to go out and beat up another man in lieu of the person who actually did it? Not a single person. All these woke individuals telling us about their wonderful woke credentials and how they've seen the levers behind the Wizard of Oz that operates within our subconscious. They've seen how it all works, right? And yet they can see the speck in our eye, but they've not seen the log in their own eye, which is effectively that the sexism is entirely invisible because I propose they share these prejudices. This prejudiced view of men is something that actually they're quite okay about, because why? I think it comes back partly to what I said at the beginning of this video. We've got to have somebody to beat up. Right, we've got to have somebody that we can wave the pitchforks and burn the barn down. And if it isn't men, then there's probably nobody left that we can have a go at. So it's almost as if going out to beat a man up on the grounds of something that a man has done and all the preconceptions and prejudices that lie beyond that, we're going to turn a blind eye to all of that, even though all the same arguments can be used with regard to gender and gendered-based preconceptions there as could be used with regard to race and demonising black people there. Okay, interested to know your thoughts. Thank you for listening, and bye.